What's up? Hope everyone's having a good day and is ready for another video in the series we like to call Underrated Throwers. Today we got probably my favorite hammer thrower of today, at least this decade, and that is Quentin Bigot from France. He's a 80-meter thrower, a silver medalist at the 2019 World Champs, a one-time Olympian, should have been two. He should have went to Paris, but he had a back injury this year, which really sucks, not to be able to compete for your home country. And he was one of my picks to be a medalist because he's just so consistent, either throwing like 80 or 79 meters, which would have been in the medal placings this Paris Olympics. Obviously, you can't tell if you do it on the day, but I'm just basing that, like each time he's medaled or has been in a World Champs or Olympics, he's throwing 79 or better. And it's kind of crazy. So we're going to get into his technique. So the reason I'm doing a underrated video of him is because he's an 80-meter thrower, and I feel like not enough people talk about him. And it's really sad because even in 2022, he got like fourth. Almost every single throw was 80 meters. 2022 was just, a crazy competition. The fact that he got, I think, like fifth or fourth place, and he threw like mid 80, like I think he threw like 80, like 24 or something. Like that's crazy to get fifth place doing that. Like that's so nuts. So he threw good, it's just what else do you want from this guy? I mean, but I think he's just so consistent. I think he's very underrated because I believe that he's probably the best technician of the modern era. Modern era, I mean like like the past, like maybe 10 years. 10 years, 5 years. Let me go 5 years. And so let's just get into it. Let me skip ahead a little. Okay. Let me just play him a couple times, play this video. So this is him throwing 76 something. And just some meat. I don't know what. It's just probably the best quality from the back, even though I wish the camera was a little more this way so I could get straight on from the back, but this angle's good enough, I guess. So this isn't like his 80-meter throw or anything. He's thrown 80 a couple times. But let's get into it. So as you can see immediately, already aesthetics-wise, when he throws, beautiful. I could watch him throw all day. It's so beautiful to watch him throw. And I think that lends to good fundamentals and good technique. And you notice a lot of people, even like the Olympic medalists, their technique like doesn't really look very good. And when you're big and strong, you can get away with some stuff. Not to say they have bad technique. You can't throw as far as they did with bad technique. But I think they can improve on some things, which is also a scary thing, that if they improved on some things, at least in my opinion, they could go even further, which is a scary thought. And there are all the three medalists this year in Paris were 80-meter plus throwers, so I mean, But so let's get into Quentin Bigot. And I'm probably butchering that name because I'm not French, so But I don't want to do a French accent because I can't, and I don't want to sound racist. But let's get into this. Oh, sorry. Before we begin, as always in all the videos in this series, I will put his personal best, height, weight, and notable accomplishments in the video description, as always. So now let's get into the technique. So he starts pretty even-footed. So not too wide, not too narrow, just very relaxed. Takes that little step back, all like a Koji. So it gets here, gets that backswing, establishes that pendulum, that rhythm, winds, and you notice that when the hammer goes back, and what I mean back, like back towards the back of the ring, he is going forward. So right now even he's countering. So right here, when the hammer is in front of him, he's going back, and you'll notice when the hammer goes behind him, he goes front. All right? So he's already establishing that connection from back to front, not side to side. You don't want side to side with you. All right, you, and I mean you as in your body, needs to go back and front. So I think this is the back of the ring, and I know this isn't a dead-on shot, but he's going back and forth, and the hammer is moving around. So it's not diagonal. It is around. All right, wide. All right, so he takes that step in, and you notice that he lets the hammer go in front of him, and when the hammer passes this right leg, he times it perfectly so the right leg grounds when he steps in. So that tells me that the hammer is making his foot move. All right, and that's very important because I see a lot of people who try and do this just because they think it looks cool, which it does, but they do this and they just they just step, but the hammer's behind them. And you want to make sure that the hammer is in front of you. You never want this hammer behind you, ever. All right, because that's going to lead to dragging and pulling, and you're not going to establish a good connection with the hammer, and you're not going to throw very far. All right, so you get here. He gets here, takes a step, winds, and right here is where the magic happens. Right here. So you notice he's the second he gets here, you can already tell he's pushing the crap out of this hammer already. And you notice this little thing he does right here, which I think is absolutely brilliant, that I think goes over a lot of people's heads, is you notice how he's kind of, oops, that's the wrong arrow. You notice how he's tilted a little here. All right. And that's very important. You want to feel tilted. All right. And he's doing this for a couple reasons. One is because when you tilt this left shoulder down and the right shoulder goes up, and this is a very advanced thing, that kind of naturally happens when you use your right side as aggressively as he does, as an 80-meter thrower does, is you notice a lot of 80-meter throwers, their left side will tilt down a little. And what he kind of does is he kind of does like a volleyball kind of thing. So he's here. So he's making that magical triangle right here. And he's never going to break this triangle. And what he does here, what he does with this triangle, all right, is he's going to keep that the entire throw. But it's always going to be slightly tilted. All right. And what this does is it forces him not... It helps him not to pull his left shoulder that much. Now he does what he does here is as he's turning this right, you notice how he kind of shifts it's very subtle. It happens literally in one frame, but you notice how he kind of shoves his left shoulder a little back. What this does, and again, this is a very, very advanced thing to do that I would not even concern yourself with, to be quite honest, unless you're throwing like 70 plus meters, is he's kind of pulling his left arm. Sorry, not pulling. He kind of sits his left shoulder a little back. And what this does is this establishes the direction of the throw. And he kind of locks that left shoulder in a little tilted as he's turning his right side. And you notice that he's pushing with this hammer. And once the hammer gets past him, just a little bit, so past his belly button, or as I like to call it, zero, then his feet start turning. So you notice from here, he does not move these feet until the hammer passes him. All right, and then from here he establishes that connection. So now the hammer's basically in line with his right foot. His right foot leaves the ground already, and you notice how far back. Oh, damn it! It keeps doing that. Sorry. You notice how far back he is. So he's sitting in the chair. Oops, that's a terrible line. Here. So this is a really good... So I like to use this cue of sitting in the chair. So he's not leaning back with his shoulders. He just kind of sits like he's going to sit in a chair. You know, hence why I call it sitting in the chair. Or hence why people... I can't take credit for that. But hence why people cue like sitting in the chair. Because he uses his whole body and just sits back. And you want to have the feeling that if you were to let go of the hammer, your whole body would shoot back that way. All right, so that's really what you want to feel with this counter. All right, so very nice connection here. Very nice catch. So he catches. So he does a toe turn the first turn. Catches heel toe, so he's not landing with the ball of his foot, which you really never want to do in hammer. Some people do it that first turn. Some people do it all the turns. Most really good people either land with the heel first or just flat-footed. Either or works. Heel, then foot. So Koji was really, really known for doing this first turn being a heel toe, or I should say heel to flat, and he catches really nice. And then from here, he really starts getting after it. So you notice how he still has this tilt in his shoulders right here. All right, very nice. So people, untrained eye would think that he's pulling here because, you're taught, if you have a good coach, you're taught that you want to at least keep this, you want to keep the hammer past you before you turn. But the thing is, when you're going the speed that you need to throw 76 plus meters or even 70 plus meters, it just happens so fast and you're just pushing so hard that he is letting it past them, but it just doesn't look like it, if that makes sense. And the reason I can tell he's letting it past them is because when he picks up his right foot, the hammer isn't back here. And he doesn't have his left shoulder up. So this is a good thing to know that. So if you're watching your own video of you throwing hammer and this left shoulder, so if you're like this, so your left shoulder is higher than your right shoulder, that's a tall tale sign that you're pulling. And you're pulling probably because you're picking up your feet too early and you're trying to turn with your body instead of the hammer turning you. So you always want this hammer going faster than you, like your body. So the things to look for in your throw to tell if you're pulling or dragging, it really same difference, is the most common thing to look for is your shoulder pointed this way. So is your left pointed, is your left over your, is your left higher than your right shoulder? And I'm speaking for a right-handed thrower, by the way. All right, so that's one. And then two, is the hammer far behind you when your right foot leaves the ground? So if your hammer is somewhere over here instead of here, that's not a good thing. So even though it kind of looks like he's pulling, the thing is when you go this fast, and it's so hard to explain, but if you ever see these professionals drill, they always and just go really slow. They always let the hammer pass them, like in a traditional sense. But when you're actually trying to throw far, like when you're trying to throw like these kind of distances that these guys are throwing, mostly you can tell that they're not pulling and that they're doing it right when they catch here. So he catches here, very nice. So he stays grounded in the feet, and the second the right foot, the right knee, and the right hip, and the whole right side is in line with the hammer, the hammer has so much force in it by the second turn that it just starts turning him, and he just keeps applying force, and he just keeps sitting. All right, and that's what you want to feel. But of course, it'd be great if everyone could feel this, if everyone could throw 70 plus meters, but then I guess it wouldn't be that special. But most people will never really experience the feeling of this. So, including me, I've never experienced this feeling. I was a chronic puller when I was throwing hammer. So I never got to experience this kind of position, unfortunately, but at least you get to watch people do it. But it's so hard to explain the feelings in hammer because it's just one of those throwing events you just gotta experience it for yourself to understand. So it's very hard to explain, especially in a video format. But the reason you can tell that he's not pulling and that he's letting the hammer move him is because So he gets here, right foot lands, and immediately sits back, waiting, and now he turns. And his right foot basically is picked up now, and the hammer's at 90. Alright, so that's very, very nice. He gets here, same thing. But you notice it is getting a little bit far, not far, but a little bit behind him. And, well, not really. It's so hard to explain. Because, like, once you're throwing these speeds and throwing these distances, on your third and fourth turn, if you're a four-turner, you're just kind of just holding on for dear life and just focusing on countering this ball and pushing it. And if you do that right, you will not pull. Or you will pull a little. Everyone pulls a little. You want to try and not pull a little, but honestly, if you use your left side right, you know, it's just like every other throwing event. You got to use your whole body. So I never want to say, like, don't use a whole side of your body, because you do. He is using his left side. It's just in a different way that's a little more advanced. Not a little, actually. It's very advanced, because, you know, a lot of people, if they tried to do the things that he's doing, would just pull the crap out of the hammer. So it's very nuanced, and it just takes so many years to be able to master the things that he's doing, and what a lot of 80-meter throwers basically do this. But yeah, I'm probably not going to try and explain this in this video, because this is just a technical analysis. If you want me to do a deep dive into, like, the feeling and hammer and all that, then you can comment down below. But I don't want to make this like an hour-long video, because I could just spend hours and hours talking about that. So I'm going to just get back to this analysis. So, where was I? So this is his third turn. Oh, I haven't even actually talked about his high point. So here. I see this in a lot of beginners as well, is that they always, so they see these pros do like an orbit and they go high, low, high, low, high, low. So what they try and do is, one, they try and go with their arms and try and just go up and down with their arms. And what he does really well, and what basically every good person does really well, is he keeps the hammer long. So the hammer is pulling him that way, and he's sitting back against it. And what that is doing, and I've made a video about how to push the hammer, but basically, in layman's terms, what you want to do, and this goes into countering as well, because the counter and the push go hand in hand, because you need to counter and able to push the hammer, and the push is basically the counter. So it's kind of I don't know how to explain this. You need both. You need both. You need to be able to counter, and you need to be able to push, because you can't have one without the other. Alright, so he gets here. Basically, the general rule of thumb for the counter is, when the hammer's in front of you, you're in your back. Alright, or when the hammer's at its low point, you're just sitting back. And then when you're here, you're still sitting back. Alright, but now you get lower, so the knee drops, the left knee drops. Catches. Push. So he's pushing that way. Pushing around. And you notice as he does this, the counter is low point. If this video would stop. Okay. No, I had it. No, stop. God, I hate this software so much. Almost got it. Oh, he's moving. Okay, there we go. The hammer's now at its low point. And you see how he's slightly up, because, you know, think about it. If the hammer is low and you have to sit back against it, you have to be a little higher. but he's not bobbing up and down. You notice how his knees all never lock out. They always stay bent. And that's what you want to do. All right, so he gets here. Again, the knee drops lower. So the higher the high point, the lower you have to be. All right, because if you let that high point carry you up, you're just going to fly out of the ring and you're going to lose your counter. All right, so when the ball is high, you are low. And the more force you get and the more force you produce, the more you have to counter. All right, so he gets here, very nice. And basically it's just the same story. You notice how every turn is basically the same. All right, there's really no variation. And you notice how he's going the straight line. All right, this left foot isn't deviating that way or that way. He is on one straight line. All right, he's going to follow, he's going to follow this line right here. All right, and that's very important too. So that also tells me that he holds his counter, because if he does a turn that he loses his counter, he's probably going to go that way or that way. So that's also a telltale sign that you held a counter very nice, is that if your left foot stays in this line right here. So that's very important to look at too in your videos as well. And then we get to the release. So I'm not going to do a total deep dive into this because, there's not really much. Honestly, like, I don't even know where I begin to critique this throw. Because, I know it wasn't his best throw ever, but, just like one tiny thing, can, at this level, like one tiny little thing that he does throughout this throw could result in a 84-meter throw or a 76-meter throw. It really just, at this kind of level, it's just like these minute little things. Like he didn't produce like enough power, like on this downswing, on like one turn, or just like something. Like it literally just comes down to stuff like that. Whereas like with beginners, it can just be a whole bunch of things. But the other thing he does really well is the release. So he gets here, and he knows how low he is. So the hammer is, oh my God, stop. God, oh my God, it just never stops. Okay, there we go. So the hammer is somewhere up here. Notice how low he is. That's what you want to look like right there. So he gets here. The hammer is, oh my God, stop. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. Stupid program. I got to get another program to analyze videos, I swear. All right, but it's somewhere around here. All right. He's back. And what he does really nice here is it's super low. He doesn't stand up, but he's just countering so much. And then from here, you notice that he throws it and releases it like he's going to do another turn, and then he just lets go. All right? So I see a lot of beginners, and what they do is, because they don't produce a lot of force through the throw, they feel like they got to rip it with their arms. And that's probably the worst. That's guaranteed to just ruin your throw right there. If you did everything so good through all four turns, and then you just go to release and you just huck it up with your arms, you just lost everything. You broke the connection with the hammer, and you just basically put all the force into your arms instead of the hammer. All right? The hammer will move faster than your arms ever could. All right? If you throw a hammer right. So basically what you want to think of the release as is just, if you're going to do another turn, and then at its high point, or a little bit before, you just let it go. Honestly, you just let it go. And he does that beautifully. So he counters, pretends he's going to do another turn. So he doesn't just stop pushing, so he still pushes through here, releases, and boom. All right. So very nice technician. Really, like, nothing I can really say because, at this level, like, this technical of a throw is basically just based on feeling. So, like, I would have to ask him, like, when you're coaching guys like this who know what they're doing, basically, like, sometimes you just got to ask them what went wrong because they can feel more than what you can see. Whereas with a beginner, a coach can see more than you feel. And as you get better and better, the coach relationship kind of changes a little. Not saying you don't need a coach, but sometimes the coach needs your feedback because, they can't, when you're moving, especially at the speeds they are, it is so hard to tell, like, what they are doing. So, like, just by looking at them. So it's a lot of feeling things. So hopefully, some of you guys will be able to be good enough where you can be in that position to for that. So that would be great. But yeah, so basically, like, there's really nothing really that I can see that's like remotely like not. And I know that kind of sounds like I'm glazing him, and I kind of am, but really, like, it's more just like, one, I'm just not advanced enough of a hammer coach to tell if he's doing something wrong. Like, that didn't make this throw go 80 meters. It can be a whole host of things that didn't make this throw 80 meters. I mean, 76 meters is still, like, really good. This could have also been, early in the season, so he's not peaked or anything. This isn't a championship, so I'm assuming he's not peaked, really. I don't know why he would peak for this meet, unless he was trying to hit a qualifying mark for, like, the Olympics or Worlds early or something. But so it could literally just be that. I would have to compare this throw to, like, one of his 80 meter or, like, 79 meter throws to see the difference. But, just by looking at this video, if you told me this throw went 80 meters and I was just looking at it, I'd probably just believe you, to be quite honest. So what are the things that I think make him underrated? Because all the stuff I said, basically almost any 80 meter thrower does. So what makes him stand out? One is just the way he looks when he throws. So it's just the aesthetics of it. Two, I think he accelerates the hammer so well. So well. And I think his tempo and his feel for the hammer is so good. And then the other thing is, he's probably the most textbook thrower in the past 5 years in terms of technique. So you will see people that throw further than him. Fajdek probably it's probably a tie between him and Fajdek in terms of, like, textbook technique. But I think Bigot might have a slight edge, maybe. But, and when you think about textbook hammer technique, I mean, he does everything that a textbook would say you want to do. He's wide, he counters, he stays in a line, he doesn't deviate that way or that way. He counters every turn, he pushes, he's patient. He does the advanced things like the little shoulder tilt, which comes naturally. Or maybe he does it on purpose, but it's more of just a natural thing, just like this head thing that he does. This head tilt that he does is basically just a reaction to the forces and the pushing that he does. So, I mean, I don't know. I know I just sound like a big glazer right now, which I am. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I do kind of glaze Quentin Bigot. But that's, I mean, I just love, I just love watching aesthetic throwers throw far. It's just like Olympic weightlifting. I want to see Olympic weightlifter with good technique lift heavy weight. Sorry. But, I think that's one of the things that make the sport so enjoyable, is I don't want to just watch a bunch of people throw far but are just super, like, have super ugly technique, because just like, all right, well, that didn't look very good, but you know, that's just a thing with sports. So I'm not gonna get in a philosophical like debate or anything, but yeah. But anyway, that's why I think that he's underrated. Basically, is because I feel like he just doesn't get the props he deserves for just how he's probably one top three most consistent throwers at major championships in the past like 5 years, and it's honestly crazy. So like he keeps producing 79, 80, like it just sucks that he just hasn't gotten a gold. And I think that I still believe he would have medaled if he didn't have a back injury this year in Paris. Just based on his history, you know, it's his home country, so he's on home turf, so he doesn't have to travel. It was just sad when I found out that he had the back injury. I really wanted to see him in Paris, but you know, can't have everything, I guess. But you know, but so I'll link again. I'll link his personal best, or yeah, and height, weight, and notable accomplishments in the video description. Thank you all for watching, and hope you guys learned something. Let me know if you wanted me to do like more hammer technical videos as well, because I can't really say everything I want to say in just like a technical analysis of a thrower. Again, I have actually made a video, a deep dive into the counter and push of the hammer. So if you're curious about that, go watch that. But if you want have any more like technical questions, I will always be happy to make a video. So I've already had a couple people comment on some of my videos asking me to do videos, and I do them like the next day. So if you want help with your throw or anything, you know, just leave a comment and I'll get to it as soon as possible. But anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you guys learned something and have a good day.